Hello and welcome back to Deconstructed. I'm your host Sam Animo Mackenzie, and with me, as always, Harry Keos Richards. How you doing, Harry? Harry, mate, did you have a fun time at Blast Spring Groups?
At Blast? What do you mean? I wasn't at Blast.
I literally just called you Keos, mate. Come on, get with the program.
See, the thing is, actually, I'm not Keels. Famously.
Are you not?
Yeah, because if I try and scream really loudly, I just can't go that high. Like I've tried in my spare time.
Go on, do it now.
Can't get that high. I'm not going to do it now.
For the podcast.
I'm not going to do it now.
Go on, do it.
No. First 30 seconds are important. I'm not doing a Dothraki scream. But he is good at those. Maybe his strongest pursuit, to be fair.
You see, strongest attribute on a Counter-Strike server is the scream he lets off when
I mean, I'd be intimidated.
when someone else has won the round.
He'd batter me. Just if I heard that, my hands shaking, keyboard's on the floor. It's all gone wrong. But yeah, great game.
Let's stop talking about Gamer Legion now, and let's talk about the team we were always intending to talk about, and that's NAVI. Because a while ago they lost a pretty big player. He benched himself because he doesn't like the game anymore. And maybe also transfer listed himself, sort of. It was kind of sprinkled in the statement. And I'm not really sure what I kind of felt about that at the time, but I feel like a lot of people maybe thought that the roster might be dead and buried at that point, losing s1mple. But as it's turned out, it's just not really the case. And in fact, I actually think, and we'll explain why, and pretty much actually just prove why it's objective at this point, we're actually just a lot better off without s1mple. And it's a pretty mental thing to say, but it's just kind of true, isn't it, Harry?
Yeah, I mean, it's the thing, it's because it was such a big jump to an international project for a lot of these guys, like, to have bit. Like, I think a lot of it is time. It's a huge step up for him to get used to NAVI and things like this. Like, there's lots of factors at play that aren't just s1mple. Like, if s1mple was still here, maybe they'd be even better. Like, who knows? But it is one of those interesting ones where a superstar player leaves the team, and I just did an article on this because, gotta plug myself these days. Because our audience is much bigger than HLTV, so you just have to mention it.
Wait,
s1mple's...
You work for HLTV?
I work for HLTV. You work for HLTV?
Wow, that's so cool, man.
So s1mple is one of those superstar players. He leaves the team, and then everyone on the team gets better afterwards. It's like kind of happened with Shearer and Cloud9, but they don't have an AWPer, so they don't really count. It's still kind of dog shit. When Rops left Mouse, they probably got better. When Frozen left Mouse, low key, back in my boy Jimpat, they might get better. So it's one of those cases because you see Emma and JL jump from like 1.00 ratings to 1.10 since s1mple left, and I think that's the really big reason why we're here today. Because when we did the NAVI episode, we said, okay, so s1mple's really good, obviously, but then who's the like second star out of those three? They kind of need one of them to step up, and it's been Bit stepped up, and Wonderful's come in and actually has the same rating as s1mple so far. Like maybe like it's slightly different because he's more of a baity boy, he's more of a survivor. But I think that actually helps NAVI's riflers a lot, and we'll get into all the detail. I always go for too long on these intros, but I think it's just kind of changed the system, just slightly tweaked the system in a way where there's less pressure. That's the huge one for people like Ema, for sure. Less pressure, great, that works. Wonderful's more passive, which just gives more room to riflers to play. Wonderful's a little bit more like, he's just quiet on the server. It's a quieter voice. AleksiB can probably call easier. Like, it's just so many things happening which are helps, even though you're losing the best player of all time. And it's just one of those counterintuitive things. But yeah, it's one of those, I like these cases. They're interesting.
Yeah, and I think, before we talk about the current squad, we should talk about s1mple more, and maybe an idea into like a deeper idea into why he left, because I'm not sure it was entirely to do with disliking CS2, if I'm being honest.
It's paperwork too. There's a lot of paperwork.
No, I'm not sure it's fucking much to do with any of that shit at all, to be honest. why he's like not come back. I mean, and also, we can talk about s1mple and talk about the other reasons as to why other players will be playing better now. And I think one of the big ones there is the pressure. But first, I'd like to talk about the environment, which kind of is the pressure and is the rest of it. Because we were both in Cologne, right? Which was the first event of this team, second event of this team.
After groups, spring group, full groups, really.
So it was the first real tournament, but second event of the team. And obviously, I end up going outside for the freshest of air, quite a lot.
Esports there.
Yeah, esports there, and I like to time those, in between maps, the best of threes and after games. I like to call it the little vibe check. It's always good when you can walk back in and know which team is going to win just from seeing their team talk. It's quite fun. And in Cologne, you kind of already knew that something was just off with this NAVI team. Like, s1mple just very clearly wanted nothing to do with them. Like, he didn't speak to them. He didn't really stand near them. And for me, and obviously, we all know what s1mple's like in the server. We all know that he expects the best from his teammates. And if you've watched the reflections he did with Thorin recently, he basically had to be told that other people are never going to be able to perceive the game the way he does. It's kind of like Thierry Henry being a shit manager because people just can't perceive the game the way he does. Like, it's that type of, like, your ability, your base level is just so good that you can't see beneath you kind of thing. But to me, I feel like one of the big reasons s1mple left is because, like, he maybe wanted this international team. He saw other people winning with international teams. He looked at Ukraine's talent pool and thought, I could probably make a team, but not a particularly good one. Or not a good enough one. And then I think he got the international team, and I'm not entirely sure he actually liked it. I don't think he liked being a part of it at all, really. And I think that's why he left. But I think that's actually the main reason why he left, rather.
I actually disagree on that. I really disagree on that. I think because I did the top 20 article was my interview, so I got some decent answers out of him, and I think you could really see that competing in this level, and especially after the war, had taken a toll. Like, we can all see it in him. Like, he just wasn't happy to be there anymore, and you could just see that he needed a break. Like, I've never seen someone a more obvious, I need a break. He was talking about a break like in 2022, like the middle of 2022. It's like, I need a fucking break. Like, the wars happened obviously in Ukraine. Like, he's moved to Poland, and then all this paperwork to sort out, and he's just flying to event. Like, that's, like, you can see when someone's mental health is deteriorating, and it was obvious. Okay, like, he needed a break.
No, I'm not saying
a break. I think the international team, like, yes,
I don't think he liked being on the team at all.
But how good would the team have had to be for him to stay? Like, you're talking what? Like, they're signing Nico, Hunter, Manassi, and then it's like him and Bit, like whatever. I don't know. Like, some crazy super team. Like, I don't think so. I think any team he would have taken a break around this time. Any team.
I don't know. He was completely different at other events.
Which ones?
Paris, Cato, completely different.
Maybe,
like,
but
the
he
way
also
he
said in the
carried
interview
himself was
that,
different.
yeah, he's wrecked, completely burnt out. That the vibe I got, because I was a Cologne too. The vibe I got was burnt out. It wasn't, I hate my teammates. It was, maybe I don't know my teammates and just want a bit of time on my own, but mostly just burnt out and wrecked. And I think it's kind of, it's one of these pointless ones. Like, there's not really much to gain from speculating on it. But I think it was obviously it's a combination of all these things. Right?
With it. I was going somewhere with it.
Where are you going? Come on.
Well, I was saying that I think that the way he was probably, because we've already spoke about this NAVI lineup before, and I said then, like, this will be the last NAVI team he plays on, and we spoke about the pressure on IM of being in the NAVI jersey, but there's also the pressure that, like, s1mple would have caused, and if s1mple's doing all that shit while also, not being an ideal teammate in terms of, like, creating a good environment to be on a team with, like, he's just not, like, there's other things we'll talk about. Like, we'll talk about the more tactical idea of why other people might be playing better now that s1mple's not in the server, like the kind of, like, tweaks you get to game style and shit. But I think s1mple was just creating a pretty bad environment for this team, and I actually think, because we both really like JL, and we both wanted IM to succeed, so I was always, and AleksiB to succeed, so I was always going to watch a lot more of this team than a lot of other teams. Like, I don't really ever miss NAVI games now because I'm invested in this team and I'm interested in this team. Seeing the difference, I don't think this team would ever have succeeded with s1mple, and I think it's easily a top 5 team right now without him.
Okay, but and this is a broader point, but I think what you see a lot of the time with these Ewing Fury teams is that they do get a bump after something like this happens. The superstar leaves, they get a little bump, they get the confidence, everyone plays better, but there's a hard ceiling on them. And I think it's true of this NAVI team too, that without s1mple, I think long term, I do not see them beating the Vitalities and the Phases. I think even now they don't.
You're talking one-off.
You're talking top 5 team, but a team with s1mple, right? And even if s1mple comes back in as a rifler for someone, and we'll talk about that later, and is at a superstar level again because he's, fixed up a little bit in terms of where his head's at, and he comes back in and smashes everyone, then it might win tournaments. I don't think this current NAVI can win tournaments, and I think maybe that's harsh, but I think I've seen too little from them in terms of actual star firepower late in games. Like, their base ratings, gone up, and I've cited them as an example in my own article. Like, I clearly think they've improved, and I think AleksiB's identity is coming through a lot more. We thought that might be hard to do with someone as maybe overpowering his blade sometimes, but I still think if s1mple comes back in and is a superstar, that they'd just be a better team because that's what they're lacking right now.
But that's
what they're lacking.
But, like, okay, so I'm pretty sure it was last week. You were saying s1mple's in the second half of his career, right?
Yeah, that's still true.
Yeah. But now you're talking about the concept of s1mple coming back and being, like, what caliber of player?
Well, he was top 10 last year, and he was, like, mentally wrecked, had a break, and he was still top 10. Like, this is second half of his career is not. He's still better than the vast majority of players.
No, but okay, while using a cheater's weapon, but like, okay, he comes back as a rifler or AWP, whatever. Who are you getting rid of for him, and what level does he need to come back at in order for this team to start winning events? Which, by the way, before you say that, this team could win events. It could win. It could easily win one or two events. It could easily win, but everyone's an underdog win now. Vitality exists.
I don't think so.
Yeah, it's bollocks.
But I don't think they're untouchable.
Who isn't an underdog win to FaZe and Vitality?
Yeah, of course, but that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that if NAVI had a fully integrated s1mple, in addition to this kind of system and this kind of elevation from BIT and EMA, and, this is the thing, it's really hard to say who he'd replace because they're all offering different things and different important things. Like, it's obviously really hard to say, especially because what role would s1mple even play, right? Like, it's hard to know. It's really hard to know. But yeah, I don't think that they're worse off without s1mple. I think they've had more time together, and I think pressure has changed, and that's allowed for different things. I think if this team is a consistent top 5 team, the pressure will build again, and we'll see the drop-off again. I think it's in terms of Because what we're talking about really is like a top 4 world final, and like, oh, they beat G2 twice in spring groups. But everyone thinks G2's dog shit because they got rid of like Nexa, and Nico hates CS2 as well. So it's...
Which they're clearly not completely dog shit, by the way. Like
exactly, like G2 is still really good.
Watch them play, they're clearly not completely dog shit.
Yeah, they're still clearly really fucking good. So I'm not like saying Navi's wins didn't count. I'm just saying they're a top 5 team.
It wasn't
by
a comment
default.
for you. That was a comment for idiots.
Yes. It's more of a top 5 by default, and I think like this Astralis team, like I know we
that's all
we
CS
doubt
has been
things
for
like
years,
Sound
though.
and stuff. Yeah. There's always placeholder teams, but I think it's Navi. It's fucking Navi, man. Like, this is the premier brand in Counter-Strike. This is what we went on and on about last episode about them.
Harry,
this is the team everyone watches.
I think
has to play.
I think the point we're at with CS now, outside of the top 3, and I'm saying top 3 because I actually think Astralis is probably the 3rd best team in the world after like watching them play. They were shite against Big. Like they were shite against Big. They were actually kind
Their
of
individuals
lucky there.
are looking good though, yeah.
But like Device was wank at sprint groups. Like, he really wasn't that good. And they were like still completely solid. Like Astralis are really good. Like, which is honestly really nice to see. Whoever is 4th and 5th behind that top 3, whether it's G2, whether it's Navi, Falcons, Liquid, whatever, because I actually think from watching Liquid could make it a top 4 potentially.
Yeah.
They probably stand a decent chance, but they need a lot more out of Cadian to do so.
Yeah,
it ain't a bad thing to be a placeholder in what we've got in Counter-Strike at the moment, because like the level of firepower you need to challenge that top level, like that top 3, it's just unobtainable. It's unobtainable for fucking every team.
But this is the angle I don't
think s1mple would change it. I actually don't think s1mple would change that. Genuinely.
No, I don't think he would on his own. But I think it's the scope of when we're talking about Navi. We can say that the players inside Navi right now are doing a really good job, and they're doing better than maybe some of their parts should on paper be. Okay, we can say that. We can also say at the same time that this is an organization that should be winning titles, and that means that they need superstar players.
Yeah, so
we know that we know that they were after like Nip's nowhere near the same. Nowhere near the same. Navi are gargantuan. Navi, if you're in the fucking major capsule with Navi, you get an extra few million. They're that level of big, all right? Like, everyone is rooting to be in Navi's major capsule.
We're talking within the context of Counter-Strike, not in the context of fucking fan bases.
No, but it matters. It matters.
NIP is an organisation that should be winning events. If we're talking in the context of Counter-Strike, NIP is an organisation on the same level as
But I don't want Navi to become NIP. Right? That's all I'm saying.
NIP, for God's sake. Like, NIP's one of the worst run orgs out there, but if we're talking about the way you originally presented it, like, they're the same. This team is as good as Navi can get. It's as good as they will get. That? Yes, I absolutely think that.
Because I'm looking at it, and I'm looking at, okay, so Falcons really struggled to build, but if Navi were spraying around Falcons cash, I think they've got Nico, and I think they've got those players the Falcons couldn't get. Falcons
wouldn't have actually spent that much, by the way, if you actually think about it, for like 30 seconds.
Yeah, course,
Falcons won't spend that much on this roster at all.
Look, this Navi roster is very, very good, and it's really like lots of really smart pickups by Blade, I think. And we said this at the time. It's smart pickups. It's not, crazy pickups. It's not a crazy level. And I think we should probably get into the players themselves now, because it's just one of those things where I just have these crazy high expectations of Navi as an org. I don't want them to be overperforming. If anything, I want them to be underperforming. I want them to be an org that I'm scared of every time they're on the server. And at the moment, they're kind of this plucky, like, Ents of last year level, where we really like them and everyone else hates them. Everyone else is like, AleksiB is
But
doing shit again.
I actually
I want them to be
don't
more
think,
than that.
No, I actually think that's how do I word this? I think that's the fault of the way the players carry themselves. Like, and I don't mean that in a bad way, because like I hope JL never changes. But you've got you know you've got like Wonderful, who's like this scrawny little kid, and then you've got like I'm, who's just like this shy little midget, and then JL, who's just this like big goofy lad. Like it's nothing to do with the way they play Counter-Strike that makes them like this plucky Ents level underdog, and it is everything to do with just looking at them. And that's not an insult at all.
Maybe.
It's not an insult. Like genuinely, it's not. Like, but it's nothing to do with them as players. I see your point. It's nothing to do with them as players. So, I mean, you can talk about like the fact they were on tier 2 teams last year, but like, it is still how they carry themselves.
But last thing on this, like, I remember when I went my first event, the RMR, in fucking Electronic, Perfecto, and s1mple walked in a room. Everyone shuts up, terrified. Like, that's the fear factor that's gone. And we can move on to players now and be positive.
Looks at you like he's going to murder you.
Yeah, because he'd won everything. And then you interview him, but they're like...
No, I'm sorry. Perfecto probably walked into a
mate.
room when he was on fucking, what was it, fours before? NAVI?
Simon.
Yeah,
Okay,
he probably
it's
did
more...
it then. Fucking first major, he probably walked in.
You
like,
know what I mean, right? You know what I
some
mean.
bastard, and they like just like, fuck it, don't need the interview.
My
See
brain.
you later.
Okay, my brain associates NAVI with that, and
Yeah, but you're a pussy who's scared of people, Harry. You're very easily intimidated.
Not even because of that.
Very
Come
easily
on.
intimidated.
s1mple Electronic.
Admit it.
Grow up.
Admit
Grow
it.
up.
Very easily
They're wicked,
intimidated.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Look,
yeah.
No, look. I don't. But this is like, I mean, we've been talking about some non-points here and just having some fun with it, really. But like, Electronic Perfecto
Vibe
s1mple,
analyzation.
Yeah, I mean, it's real analysis. Electronic Perfecto s1mple, it's a different kettle of fish, isn't it? Like,
that's exactly my point. That's all I'm saying. But yeah, let's be positive about this team, because I actually really like this team.
I've been positive about this team the whole time. You're just saying that they don't have strong vibes. I'm saying they have the best vibes of any team going.
They don't have gravitas.
They just...
They don't have an aura.
JL's got a form. No, JL has an aura. It's not like the Electronic aura, but he's got a fucking aura. No. He's just got the aura of like he's probably the greatest person in the world to be on a night out with, and he's definitely like just a wonderful human being.
Yeah,
but anyway,
he's not a support player, famously.
No, well, no, he was a legend in the end. In the end,
he was a legend. He wasn't a champion. But he was a legend.
Not when he thought he was. But anyway, let's talk about players. And I think the logical place to start is Wonderful. Now, I watched a lot of spring groups. Because unfortunately I have to. No, I actually thought the new spring groups was really good.
Yeah, the format's great. Actually great.
I really like the new format. Like, the old one was fucking dog shit. I've said it a million times. I don't care if Blast pay my bills. They needed to change it. It was shit. New ones, really good.
Well, I always love spring groups because I get to autistically fill out my little spreadsheet of player roles, and that's just... Don't you just look forward to things like that, Sam?
Groups is cool for that. It's nice to like load up the spreadsheet and be like, oh, look at the new roles. But anyway. Wonderful, right? That kid, great head on his shoulders, by the way. Like, did a really nice interview with him. Cool guy. Wonderful is the player that I gaslighted myself into thinking Neek does. Is like
different players.
No, Neek does. Neek does is a myth. He will always be a myth. He got out-orped by me. Nika does, in the nicest way, can go fuck himself.
Oh.
Wonderful.
He didn't even play that bad. Nika does.
I don't give a fuck. I just don't care. Wonderful. Very good player. And yeah, you can call him a baity boy, whatever. But he is just good. And he justifies being a baity boy. And,
Yeah.
like, well, if you look at it in the same way of, like, a fucking Hallzerk, like, he's fucking miles better than that dickhead. And I'm actually just getting really pissed off at Hallzerk now. Like, I actually thought
it's
complexity
just throwing
was...
straight at all of the AWPers you hate.
Mate, I just
great.
thought complexity were actually going to be something that was going to be entertaining.
Told
They're
you.
just shit. They're just
We said
shit.
it ourselves.
Yeah,
Age well, that one.
That will age well. But, fucking, I'd actually like... You can do it. You're the little stats monkey. But, like, I reckon Brokey Wonderful will be a decent conversation this year. I think it will be a really good conversation this year.
Yeah, really similar players.
I'm not sure which one I'd put over the other.
I think...
But I think by the end of the year, it will be Wonderful.
Yeah, it's not exactly... Like, Wonderful's kind of like your budget shearer. Because Brokey's, as much as we do call him out for just an allergy to opening picks, like, he is still really explosive. Like, when you watch him, he has that kind of capability to just pop off in any round. Even if it is in the mid rounds and the late rounds, and it'd be much better if he did it a bit earlier. He still has that, right? And Wonderful, he's a proper Russophone baity boy. He is in the back. He is getting 25% survival in lost rounds. Like, he's completely fine doing that. He also doesn't throw enough flashbang for someone who's this much of a beta, and that was something that we noticed ages ago in Spirit, and it's getting there. He's starting to throw a few more, but come on, like, if you're going to be this far back, like, he supports people by holding the angle, not by throwing a flash, and that's kind of fine. In a lot of systems, when AleksiB throws 18 flashbangs around, it's kind of fine, but still, I'm still looking for a little bit more from him in that aspect. But in terms of killing people, yeah, wow, he's actually just very stable, very, very stable. I think he's the perfect platform, like a poster boy for why passive AWPing is actually just good, because he just gives you this base. And it does put the onus on your riflers quite a lot, but that could be a nice thing, especially in CS2 when, like, honestly, I'd rather have a rifler go for a pick a lot of the time, depending on where it is. So I think it's just the perfect fit, this team. He was like a NAVI fan, like, just really, really good young player. Like, we spoke to Spirit a little bit for I did an article on Wonderful a while ago, and the one criticism was always his communication. He was always seen as a very, very quiet player who would get 35 kills, but he wouldn't come up with ideas for his own
Could he say
picks.
35 words?
Yeah, like 10 words around, you tops. Like 1B, that'll do, mate. That'll do. Sometimes not even that, probably. Like, that was the rumour going around about Wonderful, that he just didn't comp.
1B,
But killing people, he's fucking wicked at that. And that's fine. He's an AWPer, he's like 17 years old. So that's absolutely fine by me. The comms will come, because they have to come. And Blade will be whipping that into him. And if that's Blade's job,
will
then
just
fine.
tie him to train tracks.
Yeah, until he starts commenting. Like, I'm sure Bit's the same. Bit's a shy little boy as well. So that's all it is. But when I spoke to Patsy as well for that article, and he was basically just like, yeah, he's great. There was one really funny bit, though, where Patsy, I'll find it. It was funny. So Patsy basically said that Blade will get him good. That was basically it. And then he said,
tied down to train tracks could mean completely different things.
My favourite bit was, I asked him to compare him to Shiro, right? And he said, oh, did I even do that? I think he might have just mentioned Shiro out of nowhere. Anyway, so Patsy said that Wonderful was better mechanics than Shiro, but his macro and worse. And I can't say he's an insane clutcher, honestly. So they've basically gone, he's fucking sick of the game. He's basically Boros of passive AWPers, because he's just sick mechanically, doesn't really understand where to go, not good at clutching, but really good at killing people. And I think that is the story of Wonderful, because he should still be young enough just to be moulded by Blade.
All right at clutching.
Yeah, I think that was wild from Patsy. Just completely, just shuts it in the end and said it's
especially when Wonderful broke through on Spirit. He was getting some nasty clutches.
Yeah, he's wicked at clutching.
It's really unreasonable.
But it's that picture being painted of kind of someone who needs to underblade and Alexi, like, really soak in some of this knowledge, because we talked about Device a little bit. Like, the reason he's so good is because as an IGL, he's like a dream, because you don't have to do anything. because he can just do everything on his own. He does a lot of his own prep. He does a lot of his own picks, and he's just, he's basically your co-IGL, especially on CT side. Don't just call half the rounds. Wonderful will probably never be that, but if he can improve his communications and keep up this fragging, then like wicked. If s1mple comes back in, I think Wonderful's done well enough and was probably expensive enough, knowing Sprout, that I think s1mple comes back in as a rifler, and I think it's because Wonderful has done so well, and he just suits the AleksiB system to a T.
Oh,
He really does.
There's absolutely no way I'd allow s1mple to come back as an AWPer.
Which is crazy to say, right?
No
Absolutely crazy.
I mean, look, I've made it pretty clear. I wouldn't want to see s1mple back in this team at fucking all, mate. Like, ideally, s1mple, when he comes back, is on Cloud9. Like,
nah, he's in for Boros, mate. He's Falcons' new star player.
I mean, all right, actually,
that's sexy, right? That's so funny.
Ideally, s1mple's on Falcons, because Boros, I know he got a few kills in a couple of games, but fuck me, shit. Shit. Oh.
Sorry. Yeah, poor Snappy, man. Poor Snappy.
Like,
must be
I feel so
awful.
bad for the Danish fellas on that team that they have to see the complete, opposite school of thought on a team with them. I would
School of Force
love
generous.
to be there's not much thinking going on, but I would love to be a fly on the wall in their fucking theory sessions. Anyway, yes. s1mple on Falcons, most fun. Best for the scene, though. It is s1mple on Cloud9, but it will never happen unless he makes them all publicly... publicly just chat a bit of shit about Russia and Putin and whatnot. Yeah.
Yeah, awkward.
But I don't even know what my fucking point was, apart from Wonderful.
You just want to make this fucking s1mple show,
cooked.
mate. That's all you.
No.
Rent free.
No, well, slightly. But Wonderful has cooked on this team, and I think for the sake of where they're at and chemistry, you don't bring s1mple back. But if you're going to, because he is NAVI, and let's be fair, Bit's never going to be NAVI. Wonderful.
It's been Wonderful poster boys now, hasn't it?
How good he's going to be, however good he's going to be, he ain't going to be NAVI. s1mple is still NAVI. I just still wouldn't bring him back. I just wouldn't. And definitely
well, let's move on
as
to the
NAVI.
riflers, because that's where a gap might open up. Okay.
It's not going to. Especially when the first one I want to talk about is AleksiB, because fuck it, we were right again. AleksiB,
right.
baller. What an IGL. Fuck anyone who thinks otherwise. Fuck anyone who thinks otherwise, right? Because for the last few months, all I've had to hear from certain people within INSITE is, oh, look what AleksiB is doing to another star player, really good fragger, he's ruined him, look what he's done to IM. What about now?
Bit.
What about today, dickhead? Come on. AleksiB is just really good. He is. And he has a team now that doesn't have fucking X7 or fucking Brolan on it.
But there is definitely something to the idea that he is a bit of an underdog IGL. And I know you were talking about it in terms of it's just the way they carry themselves, but I think that's exactly the point of AleksiB. I think he's much better at controlling players like this than s1mple and Nico. I think that has to be a thing at this point.
Because AleksiB carries himself in the complete opposite way.
Yeah.
AleksiB carries himself like he's authoritative. He walks into a room. When you're in whatever room you're in for a media day, and NAVI walk in, JL fucking bounds in with some big ass smile on his face, he's already making jokes with everyone and whatever. IM and Wonderful are creeping in, trying to hide behind Blade and AleksiB, and sometimes Bit. Bit's just kind of there, fucking who knows what he's thinking about.
He's thinking about aimbots, I promise.
Probably aimbots, that or digestive biscuits. But it's AleksiB just comes in fucking driven to a media day. He knows what he wants. He wants to do his interviews. He wants to fuck off.
He hates him. He hates
He's got something, not as much as Shuey. I've never seen someone hate
Oh my
interviews as much as
God.
Shuey. It is fantastic.
Still so funny. Major Shuey. It was like, Shuey, do you want to do an interview? He's just like qualified for the major. Should be like the best moment of his life. He's like, today, mate, today. Who you for? Who you for? HLTV. Oh, and then he just, I just have to, and then just did like a 2-minute interview. It's like, great, thanks, mate. Thanks.
Yeah, he really hates them, which is why
RGLC hate interviews, top 1 content, honestly.
Always force him to do an interview because I just can with blast. Like,
yeah,
because
you know
I'm
he's
a
hating
bastard.
it.
Yeah, and that just it just is enjoyable for someone like me. But yeah, like AleksiB is just, he's got something about him that actually I think he could IGL those type of like simple Nico like carry themselves.
I think he could IGL the
in a
future
similar
versions
way.
of them. Like the
What
regens.
do you mean? Like he develops
like
them
a donk.
Okay, yeah. No, I see that.
But I don't think Simple and Nika see AleksiB the way like someone newer would.
So here's the thing. I think he could, but I think he'd either have to win a lot with this team, or he would have just had to like, like on G2 he would have had to they would have needed to win quite a lot, and then it would have just been like, oh, okay, AleksiB is that fucking guy.
Kind of wish he stayed.
Because I think he is that fucking guy, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like, I'm actually
IGLs don't grow on trees.
Really confident AleksiB is that guy. But yeah.
Yeah, what was that?
I kind of thought you'd have
something.
I thought you'd have something more to say, but
I just kept accidentally interrupting you, so I thought I'd stop, and that was when you.
No.
He is. AleksiB, we like AleksiB. He's still a. Do you know the one thing I want to mention with AleksiB is like I looked at their trading numbers for this this event because I wanted to look into it because my criticism early on of AleksiB was that he's from the Apex school of IGLs, and that is I'm going to sign a bomb site entry fragger, and I'm going to throw my flashbangs, and I'm going to say I'm a support player when I'm actually just a beta. Because AleksiB is criminal for that as well.
Can I interrupt you now?
Yeah, go for it, yeah.
Do you think that school of IGLing is problematic?
I think it depends on the IGL, and it depends if they've got the right profile of entry. For example, I think Flames is perfect for it. Dupree was not perfect for it. It took a while before he was perfect for it, but I think Flames is perfect, and I think Flames is very underrated for that part of the game. Maybe not underrated, probably the wrong way, but he's very good at it. And I think in NAVI, they tried to make Ema do it, and you saw what happened. You saw the poor boy's confidence just gone so quickly, like doing so much of the work. But fair play to AleksiB, because AleksiB gets traded more than Ema does now. And I think that is something that has changed. It's definitely something that's changed. Like a visible, deliberate change to make AleksiB entry more often, to kind of set up these star riflers. And his rating stayed the same, to be fair to Alexi as well. And he's still throwing a lot of flashbangs in the early round. But when it comes to bomb site executes, it's him and JL taking a little bit more of the load off of Ema. And I think that Ema's like huge jump. It's not just because Simple's not next to him anymore. Like this tactical changes happening that are making Ema have a little bit more of a chance in a lot of these gunfights, because they were trying to make him Jakinda when he's actually Nico. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's not obviously not Nico, but in terms of he's like a star opener. He's not someone who just loves aggression for the sake of it. He wants gunfights on his own terms, and they were making him take them on horrible terms. They were giving him Trinity Versailles every week, right? So I think that's something I want to talk about in relation to Alexi and Ema. I think that's really important because when you lose Simple, you know that, okay, AleksiB's there, and he's like, I need all 4 players to be 1.10 plus rating. And he's got it. He's literally got it. He's got it with Ema and JL. He's got them up to 1.10. And that huge credit has to go to Alexi for that.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Like, that is just all there is to say about Alexi. Like, he's still maintaining that kind of skill while also adapting, and he understands the players better. And fair play to him for not being stubborn, I think is
not
the
being
main
cut
thing.
as well, and for getting, like, you can see more of his system than, because we ended the last episode on a little bit of a note of saying AleksiB might not ever get full control with Blade around, but I think But I think
I think
maybe
he
it was a
has.
little bit too harsh. I think he's managed it. I think that says
And
a lot about him as
I
well.
also
I think his
I
stock
also
is
think
sky high for me now.
I also think him getting to know the players within the system and how they fit the system, you also begin to see just how hilarious like his roster on Nip was. Like you really get to see how fucking
Horrendous.
funny it was. Like
Never
in
gonna
terms of
work,
like
yeah.
role balance and like playstyle balance, like he was just fucked at Nip. Like he was actually just fucked. But yeah, so let's move on to Iron, because I think him and JL have both had. Is it the exact same step up? It is the exact same step up.
Pretty much,
it?
yeah.
1 to
I think it might have
1.
changed a little bit after the group final, like the stats I looked at were just before it. But pretty much
Okay,
the
so
same.
the
like kind
stats you looked at
mid
is
to good.
both of them 1 to 1.10.
Yeah.
And for me, like, even though it's the same step up, I'm is the big difference maker. Like that much extra level of impact out of I'm incredible. It's working wonders for NAVI, and it makes them a more consistent threat. And I'm just really happy about it, because I said, you know, I've said it a couple of times. I've said it for a reasonable amount of time now. Paris was a bad, and yeah, he played Rio before that, and you know, if you looked at his tier 2 stats, he was alright, whatever. But Paris was a really bad introduction to Imma, whatever, because how do you not, like, how do you get a fair assessment of him? And then when he was so bad for so long after that, it's like, oh, okay, he is just shit, and he just had, like, the flukiest tournament in Counter-Strike history. But now we're seeing his actual level. Like, I think this will just be his consistent level for a long time. He fucking deserves his place at the top.
Yeah.
He is just really fucking good.
Yeah, this is his Game of Legion pre-Paris level, I think. I think when the RMR and things like that, that's where I've watched him and I thought, okay, this is like really solid aggressive rifler. And then Paris, obviously, just mental. But he had been showing this level for a while. I think it's gone on the radar a little bit just because they just didn't get so many lands, and that's not really his fault. But you can see he's kind of still adapted to the kind of experience and things like this. And when you talk about him, you do have to talk about him in terms of this is still a star player. He may be still the 3rd or 4th highest rated player, but in CT side especially, like he's got very important positions. Especially because he's not often playing them with like someone like Bit. He's often playing Rotator alongside AleksiB even, in terms of, and that's a much more supportive relationship than you get in a lot of teams. Like he does need to be fragging, especially on CT side. It's really important for him to be a strong fragger, and I'm not sure he's always there, even now. But you can see the growth. You can see that he's getting more comfortable, and it's exactly what we wanted to see, because too many people wrote him off too quickly. And yes, there was a lot of inconsistency, and there was a lot of bad maps. Like, you turn it on, and him was 6 and 17. Oh, terrible. Then you watch him play, and it's like, how many gunfights is he supposed to win? And maybe it's because he was
getting
too
fucked.
confident, taking horrible gunfights. But I think a lot of it was the system. And the system changed, especially T-side. It's helping. CT side, he's probably a little bit more metered than he used to be, like more calm. But yeah, that's all I want to see from him, is a little bit more star power on CT side. I think other than that, he's doing exactly what he needs to in this system.
Yeah, but I also feel like, you know, that CT.
They're a T-sided team, Navi, by the way. They're like way better on T-side than CT.
Yeah, I'm not really surprised by that. But I think that CT side progression and evolution will probably be the next thing we see out of them. And I think it will start with him more than anything. Because, you know, like, as you said, he does play important positions, so focusing on those important positions does kind of just make the most sense. But as we move away from IM, this is where I also want to share my concern for him. Because, and you really shouldn't look into this too much, I'm just going to present it as a face value thing. I'm not sure if I even told you about it, but I'm going to present it as a face value thing and we can maybe speculate off it because that's fun. But I received a communication from the people who were in Copenhagen, or a person in particular, naming no names because they might get in trouble, but someone in Copenhagen told me that after a game, NAVI was there, and it was JL who was sat on his own, away from his team for a decent enough period of time that it was noticeable. So my concern is that s1mple might be approaching a return, and it would be for JL's spot, which I think would be horrendous, because why would you get rid of JL? He's the best player in the world and the best person in the world. But if they did, who gets fucked? Because in my head, it's I'm who gets fucked.
It's tricky, isn't it?
I don't
tricky
think
to know.
s1mple would fuck Bit unless you were right and he does just hate Bit.
No, I don't think he hates Bit. I don't think he thinks Bit is some crazy smart guy.
I can tell you. No, sorry. Leave that one there.
I think it's a little bit both, because I don't think you mess with the entry pack. I think you keep Ema, Wonderful, and Lexi. They're doing great. Great work. Great. No notes, boys. I think if you do remove JL, and it's a shame because he has been improving, and I think he does add something to this kind of like fourth man, kind of half pack, half lurk type role. Like those players are really hard to find. Like him and Hunter, Twist, Magus. Like these types of players are really hard to find and have 1.10 range.
Supplies pure vibes.
And pure fucking vibes, which is why it's mentally sat on his own. But I don't love reading into things like that. We're going to go ahead and say he had a bad day. He had a bad day, sat on his own. Whatever. Because I like JL. And I refuse to believe anyone dislikes him.
If they cut JL, I will buy NAVI jerseys to burn them in a bin. No, I think people who do that are pathetic, but if they cut JL, I'm ready to stoop.
But in the server, I do think if I was NAVI management and I had to bring s1mple back, JL is the only one you can realistically get rid of. I think a lot of people will say Ema, but I think that would be horrendous for someone. Maybe it'd be JL, but I think JL would rather lurk. So it's one of those weird ones. Because you got JL as the aggro lurk, and then Bit as the passive lurk. And often the aggressive lurking is harder. And on CT side, it's really weird.
Well, it's the role you'd assume s1mple would want, right?
So I think Ema gets fucked CT side, but Bit probably has a little bit less space T side if s1mple comes back. Because I think s1mple would be the star lurker and star rotator. I think that's the vibe I get from him as a rifler. So yeah, it's JL. JL's the one that probably is going to go if s1mple comes back, and that does add some pressure. But can you ask so much more from like your kind of player who has the fourth most space? Probably. Like realistically, like I know he didn't like it when I said that to him, and I was like, "Are you coping with some more anchor rolls and things like this?" And he was like, "I'm aggressive lurker. I'm star player." It's like, okay, mate, fine. But you're telling me that the Ema, Bit, and Wonderful don't have a little bit more room than he does? I don't know. I think they do. I think they doesn't feel like room because they're like, especially Bit, like more passive, probably doesn't feel like he's got a lot of room, but he's still being set up just in a different way. And I do think JL has the second least amount of room compared to the rest of them. So yeah, it would be a seismic change to cut JL for s1mple in terms of the system that is suddenly working so well. So it would be a real shame. But I don't see another way out. I think it would be a seismic change whoever got cut. And I think JL's the only one who is cuttable in a way. And that's despite him playing so well and him clearly being so important for vibes, TM and all that. But I think he's the only one who could go.
That is the only reason why I read into it slightly, the things that I was told. Because, yeah, he is the only one that could go. Like I guess you could put JL into Bit's positions.
I was going to say, well, you should probably talk about because there's rumours about Bit. Alexi said, I hope they are a meme. And then that was that. Everyone sort of thought, oh, it won't be happening then. But there are like his contracts. Definitely something weird going on with his contract. I think we talked about it with Crimbo last week.
Not a clue where he'd go though.
I am certain G2. So they've cut JKS. I am certain first two people asked, it's Bit and JKS. I'm certain. And Munacy and Bit are old academy boys. Like, they want to play together again for
You
sure.
said Bit and JKS. You meant someone else.
Bit and Crimbo.
Crimbo.
I think the first two names I'd go to for sure for that specific role because they are those players. So I think that's kind of where that rumour's come from, probably.
I mean, they
But
did
I also-
say they wanted
yeah.
someone who takes less space.
Yeah, but you have to say that when you pick up fucking Nexa, mate. I think they'd rather just have a good player, to be honest.
Maybe.
But we know how hard that it's going to be to get someone out of NAVI,
I
especially
mean, the
in Ukraine.
communication thing, the only reason I think it was maybe more than that, though, is because the communication thing is, like, a solid enough reason.
Yeah. No, it's definitely, like, I think JKS was definitely cut for comms. 100%. That's the only reasonable explanation. And I'm not sure Bit would offer much in terms of that, but I also see that, get Munacy's boy in. He's fucking wicked as well. Fine. Have Hunter take a bit more of a back seat in terms of being maybe the fourth best player in the team instead of third, a little bit less pressure. You still have the pop-off games. But that's a different episode if that happens. I doubt it. But yeah, the thing with Navi is they all know.
By
They've
the
all
way,
got the
sorry,
shadow as simple.
if
They
they
all
ever do
feel
get
comfortable.
Bit, if they ever do get Bit, I feel really bad for Hooksy because he's the one going, it ain't Nexa.
Surely.
No,
You could see
I'm telling you, if they pick up
all
a
this
player,
time they've kept Hooksy. They must
if they
back
pick
it
up a
little bit.
player, if they do pick up a player in that spot, it ain't Nexa that's going. I'm adamant.
Well, I hope it's next go. But anyway, point is, I think s1mple could replace any of them, and I think that it's kind of a good pressure in a way that him being on the same team with them was a bad pressure because they all know that they're all fighting for a spot. They're all in the shop window. It's not like intense, we need to win this tournament or I hate you forever pressure. It's a more, okay, this is my chance. I need to step up in this role to show that I'm irreplaceable. And I think they've all done basically all they could ask for. And we should get on to Bit because he's a player I've doubted because I don't love some of the in-game decisions he used to make, but he's really
You also
blossoming
just
under
hate
AleksiB.
people who can hit headshots.
I don't hate people who can headshots. I hate people
You
who
say
think
it's not
that
a real
headshots are
stat.
important.
It's the most real stat.
I mean, it's
It's
clearly
the
a real
source stat, Harry. It's
I
the
just
source.
don't really care. It's more
Unless
important
you're
than
Tizian.
CS2. More
Unless
important than
you're
CS2. Yeah, Tizian and MPK, two best players of all time, mate. 68% headshot percentage, whatever the fuck it is. That's why I don't love the stat.
Right. No, hang on. MBK, saucy player, literally has spots named after him. Tizian, least saucy player, literally German. Carry on.
Yeah, I mean, I love MPK too. I'm just saying, like, it's not like a margin of quality, but it's a really fucking useful skill set when you're someone like Bit and you stick him on ramp and these kind of head glitch anchor spots, and he can just boom, 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 turret. Great. Pure decision making as a lurker, I'm still not convinced he's fully there, but he kills so many people.
It's
He
pretty
kills
fucking
so many
close.
people. 1.33 T-side rating in this lineup. That's insane. That's absolutely insane. And they are this T-sided team.
Where's
and I'm
that
sure
putting him compared to
Alexi's.
everyone else in the world?
He must be. I had it up. He's like, he's the fifth highest T-side rating. He's got a higher
I
T-side
was going to
rating
say
in
that
this
has to be
period.
top 5.
So, and it's also all Mickey Mouse people. So this is all matches, but he's mostly played on LAN. So it's Netic from Rooster, then Donk, Xantares, INS from Greyhound, then Bit, then Zywood. So this is the kind of thing we're talking
So
about.
if we're talking, he's actually the second
nuts.
best. He's actually the second best T-side player in the world.
Yeah,
it was
by
only
rating.
Donk that was real ahead of
By
him.
rating,
No,
yeah.
Xantares was also there, so he's the third.
It's Donk,
He's the
Xantares,
third best
Bit,
T-side player in
Zywood.
the world.
And obviously cherry picking the sample a lot here, but that's still something serious to talk about. This is like a team that's very good on T-side, but a player who's very good on T-side too. And in a role where you think of these kind of really smart, like Rops in the fucking server, whatever, I would have thought of Bit as this supreme lurker. But whatever's happened over the last few months, it really has kind of got him going in that role. And what else is there to say? Like 1.33 T-side rating. I can't talk about this guy ever again. There's something there. There's something there.
When
Agenda killed. And it's not actually
finally
Agenda
got
killed.
back
It's
to the
just
Harry flip-flop.
AleksiB stan. It's just AleksiB unlocking him, mate. Because Boomage and Electronic didn't know a Scooby about to do this. Because Bit was terrible under him.
Well,
But here comes AleksiB and here comes the fix. Shocker.
let's just be clear here. I was right on Electronic for like a fucking year. That guy's a dog shit IGL, bless him. That he wanted to be. He tried. Fucking awful at it. Absolutely fucking
rough.
abysmal. Meanwhile, AleksiB, top 3 in the world. top 4 in the world.
Who top 4? Top 4. I'm fine.
Oh, top 5. Top 5. Top 5. Top 5. Top 5.
Yeah.
Snappy and Shuey have to go ahead of him.
I was going to say Shuey's then, right? Snappy, Shuey, Carrigan, KD.
Shuey's top 1. Let's not fuck about.
Okay, we'll see.
Is KD ahead of him? Like top 6?
KD and AleksiB? I think we'll see heroic KD is. We'll see if liquid KD is.
Like, in all seriousness,
I would have KD in there, yeah.
I honestly think Apex is the best IGL in the world right now.
Yeah.
I'd go Apex, Carrigan, back end of last year, Shuey, Snappy, AleksiB.
KD.
Yeah, KD. That's probably where I'd be at right now. But yeah, so to go back to it, like, Bit is just... He is just nuts. And I've always liked Bit because...
He's such a CSD player, though, isn't he?
I think... Oh, yeah, definitely. But I think there is a joy to watching Bit. Because, yes, it used to be because he'd make some stupid decisions or whatever, but there's a joy to watching Bit. Because you can play a fun little game with him. You can even turn it into a drinking game. Of every time he sprays, does he still get a headshot? And he does. Every time. There's something incredible about him. And that just makes him fun. And, of course, you can talk about stats. I'm only here for eye test and vibes. I don't give a fuck about the rest of it. Like, I could get smashed watching Bit, and that's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
And I think the actual one serious point I do want to say about Bit outside of this is watching the s1mple Reflections video. It's very clear that Bit wanted this team to fucking work. Like, Bit was taking a load of English lessons, doing everything he could to, like, be ready for this new chapter of his career of NAVI as an organisation, and fair play to him, because, you know, I can't remember what the number is for his stats. Okay, yeah, so he's improved as well.
Yeah, big time.
I'm not sure what his stats were before this roster. I don't know if you know him off the top of your head.
1 to 4? Can't remember exactly.
No, before international.
Oh, right, okay. I mean, I can check very quickly.
Like, did he improve going into international? But I think the work he's been putting in, like, on a wider level, which has obviously clearly worked. And it's put him back into the conversation of one of the best players in the world, where I think he really did lose that after having, like, I don't want to say the best rookie year of all time, because obviously we've seen, like, Zywu was number 1 in his first year, well. And m0NESY had a very good one, but for me, like, Bit's kind of rookie year is, like, maybe the best of all time. There's, like, a stupid amount of online games, but he
wasn't
really
that good as well. It's the LAN stuff, right?
Yeah. By the LANs, he was
just
really
not very
fucking
much
impressive.
It's like half a season, but yeah, wicked.
So, what? Like, and if we're talking about tournament wins, which he would have had more of than m0NESY, like, second best rookie year of all time? Like, this is a player who came through and we thought he was going to be, what, a top 5 rifler? Like, absolutely fucking nuts. And I actually think we're looking at a point now where Bit could be a top 5 rifler in the world.
Yeah, current
He's got a little bit further to go, maybe. Not on T-sides. But he could fucking do it. And fucking good for him. But has he improved? Before I switch up the topic, has he changed? Has he improved since the international team? Like, where was he at?
It was the spell he had under Electronic. He's had a terrible major, a terrible Rio, and a terrible Katowice by his standards. So it's one of those. And in 2022 as well, like, once you flip to Electronic, the same player's not entirely there. At the big events especially, he's really struggling.
But
like,
as it is kind of an instant Electronic flip. Was dog shit.
Yeah, but you can't completely blame Electronic. Like, I think Bit is clearly a player who needs a lot of help and a lot of space.
I'm sorry. You say, fine. You say you can't blame Electronic. Can't completely blame Electronic.
100% is what I'm saying.
Oh, it's a solid 90 though. Like Cloud9.
But most
Cloud9's
players
still a
wouldn't-
shit without an AWPer. You can't tell me that team isn't miles better with Boomich.
Yeah.
It's night
Yeah,
and
yeah.
day. Like,
It's
it
night and
is
day,
night
but
and day.
But I think individuals should, if we're saying he's a top 5 rifler, how many other top 5 riflers in history would go to utter shit because they've got a bad IGM? Like utter shit. Like not like, oh, he's only a top 15 rifler now. Like actually just bad. Like 1.0 or below. Because that did happen to Bit. And I think it's a really important part of his narrative is that IGLs are needed to get the best out of him. But when you've got an IGL like AleksiB, we're cooking. I'm fine with it. I rate him again. But if he does go to somewhere like G2 and maybe the IGLing is slightly weaker, slightly more loose, I don't think you're getting 1.33 T-side ratings. I'll tell you that for free. No chance.
Yeah, probably not.
So that's all I'm saying.
So to go back to a point we had earlier, who would get cut for s1mple? Because logically, we think JL, which means Iron probably gets fucked a lot. I don't think so. I think Bit is the safest rifler because I think NAVI would love to have a Ukrainian flag. I think they'd really like to have that.
Yeah.
Like, it's obvious that is a thing that the Counter-Strike world cares about and also investors care about. So I think Bit is safe. I also think s1mple probably just wouldn't want Bit's roles.
He wouldn't have them.
No,
s1mple comes in and says, I'm playing here, here, and here. And then everyone else changes. And that's part of your point about why maybe him coming back isn't the best idea. But
yeah,
he gets what he wants.
But then JL would probably get fucked a bit if JL stayed and Bit left. Like, this is what I want to say, like, or what I wanted to segue into. I'm Bit JL. Who gets fucked for each player leaving to accommodate s1mple? And then we'll try and figure out which would be the best
They'll
one
do
and
a
which
bit.
would be the worst
Not
one.
a bit. So on CT side right now, you've got EMA in basically rotate spots on every map, and then JL, AleksiB, Bit, shuffle them. So AleksiB is anchoring on every map when s1mple comes back. I think that just has to happen. I think the reason he doesn't at the moment is because he's letting people play where they want to, and often that isn't the fucking superstar role. Like outside on Nuke, like s1mple's playing that. Let's be honest. So it might not be as bad as we think, but JL's probably going to lose the rotate spots he does have, like short Mirage, things like that. s1mple will be playing in Con, and EMA can go back to short where he was really good for Gamer Legion, so that's fine. So it's kind of all of them on CT side. On T side, I think it's hard to say. I think without knowing what type of player s1mple is, but he feels like an aggressive lurker, and if he's the aggressive lurker, then as we said, JL's the one to get cut, and Bit has much less room because he's probably going to become the fourth guy. So when you're doing an execute, you have s1mple as the aggressive lurk and then the 4-man pack. Whereas at the moment, it's JL going back and Bit is the passive lurk, but he is the guy on his own. So I do think you would see a drop-off in Bit, and I think you would see a drop-off in probably everyone on CT side. But I think they would, because at the moment, like I said, they're a T-side team, massively. And that's a lot of it that is down to AleksiB. But I think if s1mple comes back in, I think their T-sides will get worse, at least short term. I think the system will take a big hit. On CT side, I think they'll be much, much better. And will that be worth it? I don't know. I wouldn't do it for the major. I hope they resist the urge to do it for the major. It'd be a shame to not have s1mple at the major, obviously. But I think this system deserves a little chance. It deserves a chance at the major. And I know what I said earlier. It's not a flip-flop. I'm just really happy with what AleksiB has built, and I think he deserves a shot. If s1mple comes in for like the RMR, which is very unlikely based on everything we're hearing at the moment, it's very, very unlikely. But if he comes in for the RMR and boots JL out, I think it could all crumble. I think it's that dependent on AleksiB's in-game leadership and this massive T size they're having, and the role cohesion that they finally have, the room that everyone has. I think it's so dependent on that. And I think it'd be so hard to say no to s1mple if he wanted to come back, but I completely understand where you're coming from in saying that you wouldn't want to. But yeah, to answer it, they all get fucked. 100%. All of them drop off again.
Yeah, so I think, that's the point where we do go back to the idea, and you just said it. Yeah, it's virtually borderline to say, like, borderline impossible to say no to s1mple. But if he wants to come back, just get the fucking money for him. Get the money for him. Like, you don't need this character on the team, because I've seen them at events. But this team gets on well. Like,
JL AleksiB bromance is so real.
Yeah.
I don't think AleksiB would be the one to say I'm cutting JL, not Jax.
Yeah. Like, this team gets on well. Like, they very clearly quite enjoy being around each other. Like, let this team find out what its fucking ceiling is, because I don't think we're at the ceiling. And I said earlier, I think they can win an event this year. And sure, that could mean, like, I don't think they win an event where they have to play Vitality. But that's like for the last however many years, like, we've had an England team where we've gone into tournaments being like, oh yeah, we could win the Euros, we could win the World Cup. Only
as long as we don't play France.
As long as we don't play France, and look what happened when we play France. Like, that's just the fucking way it works sometimes. Like, I can't remember for the life of me who knocked Vitality out of Pro League. But that was a Mouse NAVI final. This NAVI team, yeah, okay, that was still with s1mple, but this NAVI core could have already won an event. It's not
Vitality,
out of the realm
you're
of
gonna love
possibility.
this. You're gonna love this. They lost to Monty in the quarters.
Fantastic. What a team. What a team. Also, a big fan
SDY
of
back.
that team.
Get fucking SDY back in Derby.
Far better IGL than fucking Electronic, and he doesn't even IGL for them. Or does he now?
Great work.
I don't know. Him and Waru just fucking make it up as they go along.
I think he does, but yeah.
Yeah, well, whatever. But to go back to it, there is absolutely, in my eyes, there is absolutely no reason why s1mple, and I literally have it on the old episode plan for the last episode we did. I would have said it in that episode at some point. I'm not going to find a timestamp, because go fuck yourselves, I'm too lazy. This should be, and there is no reason for it to not be, the last NAVI core that s1mple plays with. And of course, he could come back, so I won't say ever. But s1mple should be gone, mate. They should not want s1mple back, because they've found a fucking AWPer who has given them the room to all be elevated, and he's playing at the same fucking level. There's no need for s1mple. I don't care who fucking s1mple.
Here's a question. Okay. So, wonderful. It's major playoffs. Do you think you're getting the same? Do you think you're getting what you're getting in Blast groups from this team?
Let me do one check. You say whether you think. Let me do. That's the
because honestly, that's where I see the limit for this team. I see it as a lack of star power on CT side. I think that's a real problem. I think they really need Emma to step up, or Wonderful to take more initiative. One of them. And
I actually think
the other one, I think,
at this. I think he just stunk all event.
It's the character of the players, right? You're checking Rio, probably, right?
Yeah.
I think it's the character of the players. I don't think that they're quite got the mettle to be able to bounce back all the time. And I think AleksiB's talked about this in Chiefs before. He was like really proud of them when they won that comeback a few weeks ago, because it's like, you don't normally do this. And so I think that the mental side of it, I'd struggle to see them being able to outdo teams like FaZe in big games that are just all over you all the time. I struggle to see navigate that.
I have my response.
Mm-hmm.
One, FaZe are freaks when it comes to big games. We know that. There's no real point involving them in this, because we also established earlier on that FaZe are different, like Vitality are different, those level of teams are different, and I don't think s1mple fucking helps that. I don't think s1mple helps with that issue, because I'm not being funny. When s1mple was at his absolute god tier peak, he wasn't fucking helping that. Like, I know this is an overall better roster than then, like, he really was a one-man army at certain points. Definitely before Electronic, a complete one-man army. That roster was dog shit. Flamey is still one of the worst players I've ever seen outside of majors. But so I just looked. Wonderful was actually okay at Rio. For some reason, I thought he was dog shit. When Spirit got knocked out of Rio, Wonderful, and yes, okay, Beatty Boy, whatever, he probably exit fragged a bit. 47 and 32. No player came close to him on Spirit. Like, he was just miles better than everyone else.
32 deaths and a loss, is it?
Yeah. But that's only
Interesting.
six less deaths. This is a 2-0, by the way. It's only 6 less deaths than Chopper, Magix, and Siren.
Okay.
The only person who died was Patsy.
I'm not saying he's a choker. I'm just saying
no, but
they have a player who's going to grab a game by the scruff of the neck, like Ema did for Game Legion in Paris. Is Ema going to be able to do that again? Because I think that's the win condition for this team. The trophy win condition is an Ema MVP. I think that's my opinion on it.
No, I don't think that's true.
Maybe not MVP, but a pop off. A definite pop off.
I think Bit, I Am, or Wonderful could all claim an MVP. I think you could rely on all three of them in a big game. The player I'd be fucking worried about is JL. Because if you actually, if you go back and look at the whole Paris cycle, if that's the word, Arma, pretty fucking good. Challengers, or whatever, pretty fucking good. Legends, ooh, he had some shaky fucking games in Legends. And I seem to remember he wasn't particularly good on the stage either.
No, he wasn't.
JL is the player you need to fucking... who needs to be helped out. Yeah. But I also think that he'll easily manage that. So, to answer the question you asked me, I think they'd be fine. I actually think any of the players would be able to just grab the game by the scruff of their neck.
Well, hopefully we get to see this. I'd love to see this. I'd love to see them in Spodek this week.
There is, yeah. And I think they will
next
be.
Week.
I think they'll be in the
should be. They definitely should be.
I think the only way they're not in the Spodek is if we get some wacky results and they have to play teams that, like, are at their level.
Yeah, they should be like number 3 seed though. So
I'm gonna look quickly, but there is, to be clear, there is no reason. So they're in the bracket with. There is no reason s1mple should come back in my mind. Finish that, but they're in the bracket with FaZe, Falcons, and Complexity, which obviously they shit on Complexity. I back them to beat Falcons. Honestly, wasn't that impressed by Falcons. FaZe, I don't think they beat FaZe. So I see them getting out of there through the lower final or the upper finals, quarterfinals, isn't it?
Upper finals, the stupid seeding thing.
Yeah. So I see them being in the upper final there. But to look at the play-ins of teams that could fuck that up, Cloud9, they beat BetBoom, they beat Heroic, they beat Astralis, potentially they don't beat Big, they beat Furia, they beat Spirit. The Spirit could be a fun one. That could be a fun one. Every other team
have more firepower, but yeah, system diff.
Yeah. And Virtus Pro, that could also be a fun one. So, looking at it, there's only 3 teams I think stand a chance of beating them in the play-in. So yeah, I completely expect they'll be in the Spodek, and maybe that's the one where they fuck up. But I see a world where off the back of a Spodek appearance, they're in the final in Copenhagen.
If Ema is in back-to-back major finals, I love this game.
Imagine when he becomes the best player to never win a major.
I love this game. So, the new Nico. He
I
has to be the
seriously
new
think
Nico, and that means he can't win a major.
that would be incredible. Really sad for him, but it would be incredible.
Yeah.
But no, I think they are probably an appearance away in an arena of being comfortable arena players. So I don't see why you even bring s1mple back for that extra, like, aura thing. Like, fuck it. This NAVI team...
Well, the aura thing is the killing people thing.
Shut up, Harry. They can all kill people. This NAVI team is better off without s1mple. It's done. You've got nothing to say.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll just cut it there.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Was it 2 weeks in a row, is that? Just 2 weeks in a row, a great pause because I've just fucked your head?
No, I genuinely thought that was you trying to wrap it up. It's like a minute.
No, it wasn't. I was giving you something, like, I was giving you room to respond.
Yeah, I'll respond.
Okay, respond.
I think I might agree. I think if I flip-flopped,
Great.
I think as much as s1mple would be the best player on this team, I think it'd be psychotic to bring him back.
Yeah, of course
so
it would.
Yeah, I agree. Roll on Katowice. Roll on EMA major MVP.
Because he already should have one. He already should have one.
No,
he was shit in the final. No. Right, Harry, no, before we go, before I do an outro,
bollocks.
Fuck you, right? If you want to use stupid fucking American terms like most valuable player, give the fucking MVP award. Give the MVP award to the player who was the most valuable.
So who was the best player of that tournament?
Game Legion, but he wasn't the most valuable. Game Legion had no business being in that fucking final, but I'm like grabbed fucking Kios and Isaac. Because I ain't gonna take it away from fucking Acor and Shuey, because Shuey's obviously the GOAT, and Acor is just
Isaac
better
played
than
really
Device.
well as well. Isaac's underrated. I like Isaac.
No. Like that, he's fine. But for my point, I'm fucking grabbed them both. Like, you're talking about players grabbing the game by the scruff of its neck. He grabbed like a fucking entire tournament by the scruff of its neck and just like, he was booting them down some fucking yellow brick road to his fucking dreams and to the major final. Who cares if he had a bad final? He was the most valuable player of that fucking tournament. Fuck you. If you're going to use stupid American terms, at least fucking listen to the way they fucking sound.
Okay, great. Thanks for your feedback. I'll direct you to a form where you can direct all complaints, cry a little bit about Frozen 12 as well. Just do it all there. I don't care.
Is there actually complaint forms, or is it just the
make a forum post saying HLTV
idiots who exist in the forums? Because I will not get involved with HLTV forums. I actually have a degree of sanity.
They're better than Reddit, by far.
Still,
and probably Twitter these days too. Genuinely, sometimes I click on a thread. There's some good discourse in there. We love a HTV thread.
Well, yeah, but that's because Twitter's fucking died. Like, so, like, people have to go somewhere.
No, this is a sidetrack.
This is a sidetrack. Fuck the MVP award. And let's leave it there. So yeah, fucking NAVI. Are they better off without s1mple in your eyes, or would you bring him back because you're still convinced that s1mple is still gob? Which, he could come back and be pretty good, but he'd sandbag this NAVI team. And it'd just be more fun if he made another team better, to the point where they could compete with this NAVI team. I've already answered your question, but you can give some thoughts if you want. Other than that, like the video, subscribe to the channel. Like, I think we're close to like partnership or something, so it'd be nice. It would be nice. I've been Sam Anime Mackenzie. He's been fucking Harry Flip-Flop Richards. Little bitch needs to learn how to understand what most valuable means, and catch you in the next one.